Teaching online is different than teaching face-to-face. For those of us who have been teaching face-to-face for a while, we have a great sense of the general ebb and flow of our course in the classroom. Sometimes we know it so well that we can roll out of bed and just teach a lesson on the fly without much more preparation than remembering the dry erase markers for the whiteboard and an alarm clock to make sure we get to the classroom on time. Online teaching, however, is different. There is no set meeting time. There is no interactive whiteboard, at least not the way that we're used to it. There is no podium that allows us to deliver a lecture and take questions at the same time from our students. So just how exactly are face-to-face classes and online classes different from one another? In terms of student expectation and course delivery models, let's compare. First, we'll look at face-to-face classes. Face-to-face classes tend to be mostly synchronous. That means that content is delivered in real time and interactions happen during a set window of time each week, such as from 2 to 4 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You know where your students will be, or at least where they're supposed to be. They know where you'll be, and you can interact there. Face-to-face classes also tend to be lecture-based. That means that content is typically delivered via lecture, with a projector or a blackboard or whiteboard for support or visual aids. Face-to-face classes also tend to be hands-on. After the content is delivered, students can work with tools, technologies, and materials right there in class with the guidance of an onlooking instructor who can intervene at different points during the process. Face-to-face classes also tend to be paper-based. That means that assignments and tests can be done on paper and handed in before the class period ends. The teacher can then take those pages home and bring them back to the next class period and hand them back to students. Face-to-face classes can also be built as you go. In other words, teachers don't necessarily have to plan out every aspect of their course before the course begins. They can start with a general sense or a general shell and build from there. They also include full communication with your students. A face-to-face class allows you those visual cues from facial expressions and body language to determine whether or not your students are really getting or understanding the content that you're delivering. Face-to-face classes are also closed for holidays and weekends and school vacations. That means that your students don't expect you to be in your office or to be holding office hours or to be available during periods of time when the campus is closed. And then the transference of knowledge in a face-to-face class is something we're familiar with. The educator is an expert directly transferring knowledge to students, typically through a lecture. Let's look at online courses. Online courses tend to be mostly asynchronous. That means in most cases your students will be completing their work at different hours of the day in different locations around the globe during a window of time that you stipulate. For example, you might tell them that you'll post new work on Monday afternoons, and students need to complete the work on Wednesdays and Fridays, with follow-up work on Sundays. They're also discussion and deliverable-based. Discussions typically take place in forums using video or text, and they occur over multiple days during a week. The course rides on what students deliver as opposed to what students do. That is, you can't see them doing the reading as you could in class time, but you can see them post to the discussion board about the reading. They're also technology-based. Content is presented using videos, slideshows, audio files, and text that are made exclusively for online delivery in order to reach all learning styles. There's also no paper in an online class. Assessments are delivered online, not on paper. So you have to make places for the students to deliver those assessments. That means you have to create online quizzes, create file drop boxes for assignments to be delivered, and create discussion areas for discussion to take place. They're also plan-oriented. Content is planned well in advance. Online learners typically take online classes because they need some scheduling flexibility. You'll want to plan out the lessons and interactions, support, and assessment well in advance, and plan for spontaneity if you need to make surprises. They're also canned communication experience. So unlike the full communication where you have the advantage of body language, in the online class you only have text or video, and it tends to be after the fact, after a student has had plenty of time to think about what they want to say and do. They're also open 24/7. In this respect, students will expect to be able to access course content even on holidays and weekends. They can log in and complete work at all hours, and sometimes they'll expect you to be available at all hours. That doesn't mean you have to be, just let them know what your availability is. And lastly, the transferring of knowledge becomes facilitating knowledge. The instructor is now the expert facilitating the learning as students construct their knowledge from the course content. In the next video, we'll look at how you can prepare your course content for online delivery.